Hey guys, Chris Meets with Anywhere POD. Today I want to take a look at a great new feature that we have for any of your digital listings, and that is the ability to convert PNGs to SVGs. So here is a digital listing that I already have created, and I have two PNG files here, and we're going to walk through how to use our converter to convert these to SVG files. To get started, we'll do this all black one first. So you can see here now when you upload a PNG, there is a convert to SVG option here. So we will click that, and to just use our default settings, we'll go ahead and just click on Generate SVG. And once this is done, you'll see down here we have a SVG file generated. We have a couple of options here. One is the ability to inspect the layers of the SVG file, so you can see how each element is laid out. You can also download it to be able to view it later, or you can go ahead and save this to the product that we were just working on. We also have a few SVG export options. These can be really handy and offer a lot of additional value to your digital listings, especially for making it easier to use for Cricut users. So what this is going to do, this option here for flatten, this is going to combine all of the colors in your SVG file into a single layer. This is especially useful if you have an image with multiple different colors. This can be really handy for Cricut users, as it makes it a lot easier for them to load their cut files, which we'll open up Cricut here in a minute and I'll show you how that works. The other option is to have your colors just grouped. When you group your colors, it doesn't actually combine them into a single layer. So each element is still its own layer. So if you have any elements that someone wants to be able to use somewhere else, it makes it really easy for them to just be able to grab that one element out of your file and be able to use it however they would like. Or then we also have the option here of both. So selecting both will add both of these as a separate file to your product. So we'll go ahead and look here with this all black. We'll leave it on flatten, and you can come down here to inspect layers. This is going to show you each layer that is within the SVG file. And I purposely left our PNG, it had a little bit of shading that was kind of undetectable, but it picked it up when it converted it to an SVG. So if we come back up here to the top, you can see it's selected multiple different variations of black. But in this case, we don't want that. So we're going to go ahead and clear our colors. And it's always going to be better to select your color instead of letting it auto-select. Sometimes it's able to pick up some shadowing and stuff that you don't really want to be in your final SVG file. So we're just going to go ahead and select our all black color here, and we're going to hit generate again. And now if we scroll down, we can see in our inspect layers, so we have our color option set to flatten. So this has put all of the elements into one SVG layer. If we come over here to group and go back to inspect layers, you can see that it gives us each element from our file as an individual layer. So we're going to go ahead and select both here. You can see we already have our file name pre-filled, and we're going to go ahead and click on Save to Product. And if we scroll down here, now we will see that we have two additional SVG files added. One just the regular SVG, and the other being the colors flattened SVG. This flattened one is going to be the one that's really going to be beneficial to your Cricut users. Selecting both SVG files does add 2 files to your digital listing. I know Etsy limits to 5 files that you can upload on a digital listing, but we will also manage zip files for you now. So if you upload more than 5 files, we'll automatically zip those files together when you send the listing over to Etsy. Let's go ahead and take a look at one now that is a little bit more complicated and has a lot of different colors to it. So we will take this one and we'll go ahead and click on Convert to SVG. Now you'll see here with the number of different colors that we have, if we just click on Generate SVG again without picking our colors, it's going to generate an SVG file fine for us, but you can see it didn't quite match up all the colors. Looks like it missed the yellow in the H. So again, just to make sure that we're getting the right color selection, we're going to go ahead and click on Clear Colors, and we're just going to go through and click on the colors that are in the file, and then we will click Generate SVG again. And you can see here now we have our SVG generated. We're on Flatten again, so click on Inspect Layers. This is where you can see each color. The elements are in a layer separately to make it easier for cut files in Cricut. If we come over to our group option and go to Inspect, you can see each element is its own individual layer on the SVG file. So we'll go ahead and select both on this one as well and hit Save to Product. And if we scroll down now, we will see that we have our two colored SVG files here. This has also put us over the 5-file limit on Etsy. You also see that we have a zip file name here. This is going to be the name of the zip file that we send over to Etsy when you push this listing over. So now let's jump over to Cricut, and I'll grab these two colored SVG files and we can take a look at how they import into Cricut. So here we have our 4 SVG files that we just created loaded up into Cricut, and we'll just do a quick overview and we'll leave a more detailed training in the description down below if you're interested. Okay, so now we have both of our SVG images loaded into our canvas here. We'll take a quick look at our first one here that is grouped by color. You can see here each element is still loaded into the SVG individually. So if the customer wants to do something other than Cricut with it, they have the option to be able to do that. But if we come over here to make it, Cricut by default is going to try to use as little vinyl as possible for the customer. So if we look at these, it's going to run together all of our letters. So it causes a little bit of additional work for the customer to be able to group these together to make it print easier for them. Again, we have a more detailed training on how that works in the description down below. For now, though, we're just going to take a look at our flattened SVG file so you can see what that looks like when the customer decides to load that in. You can see that each color is its own individual layer. So this makes it a lot easier when they come over here and go to make it. Is going to go ahead and leave the layout correctly for each color. So it's going to make it a lot easier for your customer to put this design together, especially if there's multiple different colors, but even if it's just a single color. This makes it a lot easier on your customers, and offering both files gives them a lot of flexibility and makes it a lot more likely for you to have return customers, because if they buy one design from you and they see how easy it is to load it into their Cricut software and all the different options that you give them, they're going to remember you in the future and remember, hey, that guy, that file was really easy to use. I'm going to go look and see what other designs he offers in his store, because they're probably going to be set up the same way and easy to use. We have a more in-depth training on Cricut and the different design files and why your Adobe Illustrator SVG files are probably causing your customers a lot more work than you realized. I'll leave a link to that training in the description down below. And if you guys have questions on SVG files or anything else to do with digital listings, as always, feel free to reach out to us at support@anywherepod.com.